Real estate investors, are you new, just beginning, struggling, looking for better ways to close more deals? You're in the right place. Each week, I pick a random house off the internet, analyze it for a cash deal and a creative deal. Whether you're starting out or already seasoned, this podcast was specifically designed to give you practical tools that you can use right away. When I started this podcast, my goal was simple. It was to help beginners and struggling investors close their first deal or their next deal, all while using low to no cost tools to analyze properties and craft strong offers. This is the weekly deal analysis. Let's get into the show. Hey, real quick, before we get into this week's analysis, if you would hit that like button for me, and if you think somebody else might find some value out of this, share it with them. This week, we are headed a little bit south from last week to South Dakota, specifically 1020 East Tallent Street in Rapid City. This is a three-bedroom, one bath, little over 1,000 square feet, and they are asking $250,000. It has been on the market for 159 days, and we're going to break down an analysis and start with the pictures. Driveway, not sure what type of siding that is, but it looks older. Roof looks good. Yard, nothing fancy, nothing hateful. Looks like we got some new carpet, probably some fresh paint. And I love that they have this little pad here into the front door. If you have carpet all the way up here, it's just going to get destroyed. And then you have to add a rug, and then the door is going to stick. So putting in some tile here or basically just not carpet. I've also seen people use a lot of like vinyl or LVP. It's just a great way to keep this front entrance clean. Ceiling fan, we got some tile work here. Stainless appliances are nice. Oh, this is just the other view from that front room there. Kitchen, looks like we got some new shaker cabinets, stainless appliances. Can't tell if this is a sticker or a big dent. Can't see the countertops. Taking a stab in the dark here, but I do believe these are Formica. And now that we're getting a different angle, that is a dent in the um, dishwasher here. Looks like we got some dents on the refrigerator as well. Almost look like a rental property. Washer and dryer. This looks like a bedroom here. Another bedroom. So definitely smaller bedrooms. Updated bath, but they kept the really old mirror. This is straight out of the 80s. Ask me how I know. Another bedroom here. Cute little house. Nothing crazy. Backyard. We got a shed back here. Looks like fencing. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, wrong house. Duh. All right, pretty much fenced all the way around. Good. No garage though. Downtown Rapid City, School of Mines. So seems to be pretty close to downtown and the mountain area up here. And another angle, probably a bedroom. All right, that's all we can pick up off these pictures. Let's see what else. What is the agent telling us? Not a whole lot here. Not giving us anything with not not much to go on here. Do your job, realtor. Property history, permits. Here's what I like to see. So looks like it's also up for rent at 1900, and that's been there since September of last year. They originally listed at 258.9. Now they're down to 249. They made a quick jump in the first month that they were on the market, but it's just been kind of sitting stagnant ever since. Looks like it was rented previously. Yeah, so this that has been a rental property for this current owner from what this looks like. And they bought it in 2018 for 140 and essentially have been renting it ever since. So they're in for 140. And now they're trying to sell it for about $100,000 more. Not that in and of itself right there tells me that it's way overpriced. The 160 days on the market also tells me that. Taxes, here's some of the permit work. So this would have been nice for the agent to let us know. So it looks like they updated some electric in 2018, foundation repair. Oh, it wasn't closed out, or at least this wasn't updated in 17, a new roof in 16. That's good. All right, our values are saying Core Logic is 157 and Quantarium is 176. So we're way off of the numbers that this is currently listed at. For the area, median list price 309, average days on market 93, and there is no medium sale price. Maybe there's just not enough data to go off of. Um, I've already looked through these and there's nothing recent. Um, so to kind of look around at our ARV, we're going to go right down here. And if you don't know what ARV is, it is after repair value. What is something worth after it is repaired? Okay, click the wrong button, scroll back down. All right, so contingent just means it's under contract. 245, similar, 225. This one has a garage, this one has a garage, this one has a two-car garage. 249, 240. Turn it, wrong button. I'm gonna do that, sorry. What else? Similar homes here, 230, and that does have, even if it doesn't have a door, it's still a garage. 237, 245. Any of these under contract? Rents, what are we thinking here? Studio, apartment, apartment, apartment. Apartment. Anything on a single family home. Here we go. 1,500. All right, so the only single family we have, at least on market right now, is 1,500. Oh, sorry, 1,450 over here. And we know previously, I'm looking through here, that it was rented for 1,750 in about a month. One thing a lot of these sites don't do is show what it closed for on the rent because they're not getting that information, so they just show it as listing removed. Just something I've learned from doing this podcast. But we know it's not worth 1,900. 2.5 years ago, it was rented for 1,750, which kind of seems a little high for what it is. I think we found out everything we can off of Realtor. Now we're going to jump over to the InvestNest and analyze this thing a little deeper. I've got it pulled up here on the InvestNest, and this site is amazing. If you watch the show, you know I use it for every single one, and I also use this personally when I'm analyzing a property for a cash deal and just to compare it to everything. So they're saying the estimated value is 247 and estimated rents at 1374. And we're going to check one more source on that, but we'll get to that in a second. But tons of information, tons of detail on here. And where's my favorite button? If you want to skip trace, this is included in their price. I will drop a link below that will get you your first week for free and 50% off the first month if you want to try it out. I love it. It's a phenomenal site and it's very easy on the pocket. This is perfect for people on a tight budget and people just beginning. I'm neither of the two, but thankfully, I love this site. I don't need the prop stream or the privies because I'm not doing a lot of wholesaling. I'm just looking for my own deals. So for me personally, this site is perfect. Let's see here. Mortgage. Did they pay cash for this? I think they did pay cash for this. That's not showing us anything on here. Location, Rapid City, obviously we knew that. Pennington County, that will come into play when we check the Section 8 website. All right, let's see what we got. Estimated equity. So yeah, this was a cash purchase. Even better. All right. 10, 20. Tallent. And our purchase price, we said, let's jump back over here. So they're asking 249 from when we looked at the comparable sales. Most everything that was 250, 245, 225. A lot of this stuff has garages. So I think realistically, we are probably going to be at, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? What should we do? I think all of these houses are similar, but these have garages. I think our closest comparable is probably this 225. Let's take a look at that real quick, just to scan through some pictures. Older kitchen. Mm, just because it has a garage, I'm going to give it more value. I think it has a better backyard, but all right, I'm going to go with an ARV or after repair value of 200,000 because that's honestly all I think this thing is worth. Now that we think our ARV or after repair value is $200,000, it's probably a little bit higher. But on our cash offer, we're going to offer 70% of that. My calculator up here, 200,000 times 70% is $140,000. So our cash purchase offer is going to be $140,000. Closing costs, we're going to offer to pay both sides, which would be about 4%. Our lender, whether using a traditional lender or a investment lender, excuse me, you're paying about 2 points on that. Improvements, I think the house looks pretty great. I think it's just overpriced. So we're going to do 0 for improvements. Down payment on an investor loan, whether using traditional lender or investor lender, it's going to be about 25%. Term, I want to push that out to 30 years, and investor rates are sitting roughly at about 6.75. All right. And our rental income, the InvestNest is saying 1374. We know previously from Realtor that it was rented at 1750. We know it's currently asking 19, and it's been that way for a long time. So to double check this number, we're going to jump over to HUD or Section 8. I've got it pulled up here on the HUD Fair Market Value site, also known as Section 8. I'll drop a link below for this as well. Once you get the hang of it, it's very user-friendly, but trying to get to here is kind of a pain in the butt. So just click that link and it'll take you right there. For a 3-bedroom, rents $1,490. So I think that is pretty accurate. And we'll just split the middle and call this 1,400. I think that seems about fair. And if you're a 1% rule follower, that hits your target right there. Property taxes, this looks like what the same thing Realtor said. Insurance, I like to factor 125, which would be $1,500 a year. Our management fee, 10%, standard across the board nationwide, generally speaking. Utilities, our tenant's going to be paying those. And this is the reserve fund, or I call it my war chest. It's 5% for repairs, maintenance, vacancy, and capital expenditures. Capital expenditures like your HVAC, your roof, your big ticket stuff, basically. And in real estate, as we know, it's never a matter of if something goes wrong, it is when something goes wrong. So we like to put 15% aside for all of that just off the top. Appreciation rate, 2%, and I want to plan to increase my rents 2% per year. We'll plan on holding this for 10 years. And remember, we are real estate investors. We don't pay full commissions. All right, let's see what these numbers look like. You were ready to see a number, weren't you? Please hit that like button. And if you know somebody who also might be interested in this, please share it with them. Now, let's see if this thing cash flows. Ooh, negative $30 a month, even at $140,000 with $35,000 down, 42.7 out of pocket. Pretty reasonable interest rate, I think, especially on an investor purchase. This is not a good cash deal. Cap rate is more of a multifamily thing, but 5.59. DSCR doesn't even qualify, and DSCR stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. They just analyze does the property cash flow, and that's how you get the loan off of that. Cash on cash return is negative, almost 1%, and return on investment is 8.36. But it hits the 1% rule. This example right here is why I don't like the 1% rule. It used to work really great. Now, to me, it's just outdated. And another thing I love about the InvestNest, it breaks down all of this so we know what's going into our reserve or war chest, and what our operating expenses are, total income, and then total expenses. So that is where we lose on this property. We are into this thing for 5 years before we even turn it positive on a cash on cash return. Yeah, it's not a good cash deal. And you're 4 years to recoup your original investment. So I don't know about you, but I don't like to rent negative. Now that we figured out this is a horrible cash deal, even offering at what we did, now we're going to do my favorite part and analyze the creative side. This is my creative calculator. You can get it off my website, christhompsonteam.com, and I will also drop a link in the comments. So our ARV, or after repair value, we are thinking 200,000. And since we know this guy's an investor, he owns it cash, a seller financed offer should be pretty darn sweet. So I think, you know what, we're going to try to see if these numbers work. Let's see if we can't throw 200,000 at a 4% interest rate. And to find out our PITI, or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, we're going to jump to bank rate. This is bank rate, very simple, just bankrate.com, but I'll have a link below as well. All right, we're offering $200,000, and I only want to put down 5% on a 30-year term at 4% interest. Our zip code over there is 57701. Our property taxes are 273, and insurance at 125. Ooh, nope, this is a horrible cash deal. Or excuse me, horrible creative offer. So 1305, and we already know we're basing our rents off of 1400. So we're gonna have to play with these numbers some more. What if we do 2% interest? Oh, it's still not enough. Now we got to bring, well, now we got to bring our offer price down. Let's try 180. See if that math works. 5% down. And it readjusted those property taxes, which is not good. 273, 273, 1,030. It's still not going to be enough. Maybe we go to 160. So 160,000, 5% down. Why does this keep changing my property taxes? 273. All right, now this may work to turn it into a good deal. So $960 is our PITI, or principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And I will plug that in over here. 960, potential rents, 1400. Oof, it's still pretty slim, but I just had to keep playing with the numbers we um until we got it right. And that's only a 2% rate. So our gross cash flow is 440, which is pretty good if that was our net. But then we got to put 210 away in the war chest, 140 to the manager, and 90 actually just goes in our pocket. So if you're local and you're not hiring management, which is something that I do recommend for your first one or two properties, self-manage them. Learn kind of all the ropes, the ins, the outs. And I own a property management company here in Maryland. I tell my clients the same thing. I'm like, look, if you're starting out and you want to build and learn, then try it yourself. If you get a month into it and you're like, heck with this, then yeah, call me. I'll do the management. And some people are like, I don't even want to try it. I just want the cash flow. Um, and let's plug our rest of our numbers in. So cash to the seller, which would be our down payment of 8,000. The agent's not solving any problems here. So let's see, $1,000, see if they'll go away. Assignment fee, we are not working with a wholesaler, so that is going to stay zero. Closing cost is going to be that 4%. Renos, we said we're not doing anything because it's amazing. 2 months of holding, 1920, which is just 2 months of this mortgage payment here. And a good TC, or transaction coordinator, will be about $1,500. So once you factor all of these numbers in, this number got diminished pretty bad. So at $90 a month, it's going to take almost 19 years to recoup. And that is without any rent raises, but that's also without any property tax raises and insurance raises. The taxes go up even a little bit, that net return is just going to diminish even more. So even though we were able to make this a positive cash flow, I still don't think it's a good deal. What did you think about Tallent Street in Rapid City, South Dakota? We were able to make the numbers work pretty well on the cash side, but that's putting a pretty healthy chunk down. On the creative side, we had to play with the numbers multiple times just to barely get that thing to cash flow. Ultimately, this is not a good value for me, in my opinion. I would love to know your thoughts. Please drop them down below. And that concludes this episode of the weekly deal analysis here in the Corner Barn. I am Chris Thompson, that bearded guy, the creative guy. We will see you next week.